I'm Jenna Kerr. I'm a tattoo artist from the UK and I've been tattooing for 10 years now. Originally, I didn't have any plans to become a tattoo artist, but I studied art for many years at college and university, and I actually went into designing and making corsets and clothing. From that, I was still painting, and it was actually a friend of mine who suggested that I try tattooing. The first tattoo that I did was on the back of an ex-partner's hand. It probably wasn't the best place to do your first tattoo. It was a very nerve-wracking experience. But the piece is still there to this day. I mean, it's 10 years old now. It's held up quite nicely, actually. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing your first tattoo on the back of somebody's hand. Early on in my career, yeah, I struggled massively. I didn't really have a solid mentor in the early days, so a lot of it was learning from other artists in the studio, but they were quite new to tattooing as well. If you really want to learn something, you will go out of your way to find out the information that you need. So I read books, I read what I could on the internet, I watched YouTube videos, started to look at doing seminars. Seminars helped massively. It took me a good 7 years at least to really feel like I'd achieved a sense of just understanding the industry and understanding all the technical aspects of tattooing. It was a slow process for me to begin with. My style has naturally evolved over the years. I've been influenced by travel quite heavily, Baroque styles, ornamental, and it's evolved over many, many years. The biggest help so far in my career has to be my sponsors, also other artists that I've worked with. They've all collectively had an impact on what I do today. In terms of who I'm really inspired by artist-wise, it's got to be Alphonse Mucha. I think that's how you pronounce it. He was an Art Nouveau master, and the prints that he produced, I'm heavily inspired by a lot of those. So with styles, your style is something that naturally evolves over time. And so I don't think that there's another style that I would particularly want to do. I just enjoy doing what I'm doing now. I just want to evolve that style even further. It would be great to be able to branch out and do bigger pieces with my style. My first tattoo was done when I was 17, and it was done in a local walk-in studio, and it pretty much looks like a little squiggle at the bottom of my back. It wasn't the best experience. I'd drawn it up myself, taken it into a local walk-in studio. They had put the print on my back, and in actual fact it was the wrong way around, to which the tattooist said at the time, "Does it really matter?" He did eventually switch it around, and it's still there to this day. Probably needs covering over, in all fairness. The favourite tattoo that I've done to date has to be a piece that I did with a ruby heart gem and gold filigree, and it's a piece that sits under as an underbust piece that just encapsulates everything that I enjoy doing. The jewels, Baroque style, like all the gold filigree, I thoroughly enjoy tattooing that. So my biggest hobby outside of tattooing is flying. I started flying it's over 4 years ago now. The issue is it's incredibly difficult to keep up a hobby like that, and for it to be consistent when I've been traveling so much. So It is a hobby at the moment that I am literally just dipping back into every now and then when I'm back home in Stoke. And then I go to my favourite little airfield and pick up where I left off and continue my flying training. Over the last 10 years, I've seen the industry grow so rapidly. I'm not entirely sure what the next big thing it will be in tattooing, other than wireless tattoo machines. There's so many talented artists out there that they're just pushing the boundaries constantly, coming up with some phenomenal pieces. Yeah, I'm excited to see where the industry is going to be in the next 10 years. So I have 2 ink sets out with world famous tattoo ink. There is a Baroque set and there's a Gemstone set. Different colours that I usually use on what we now call a gemstone. My clients started referring to a certain colour of stone that I was doing on a regular basis. It was a pink purple stone. They were starting to refer to that as a gemstone after one of my friends accidentally overheard gemstone, and he actually thought that I'd said gemstone. So that's where the idea of gemstone came from. And then that was it, my clients caught on to it. So the Gemstone set is a set of cool hues and warm hues that you can use to offset to get a 3-dimensional look to the stone. The Baroque set is a set of 6 gold and brassy tones, and these can be mixed as well with each other so that you can get different gradients of gold and brassy tones for your pieces. I'm Jenna Kerr, thanks for watching.